Got
Hello
it.
and welcome, everybody. Hey, this is Jeff Bird with Jeffrey Bird Coaching, and I have a return guest on the show today that I'm so excited to hear from because she's been up to, when I talk to her, I don't ask what have you been up to. I'm like, what have you not been up to? Because she's usually up to a lot, and this time is no different. So she's got some new things to share, and especially a new cookbook that she's got out, which is all about, Katrina, let you introduce it and tell everybody about it. So tell us about the cookbook and the name and what inspired it and the journey with it and your goals with it.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, first of all, thank you again, Jeff, for having me back. It's always a great time when I talk with you and your audience. But yes, my name is Katrina Gay, and I am the author of a new cookbook called Soulful and Vegan, which is kind of like what the title says. It's a collection of soul food recipes, but with a plant-based twist. I have been plant-based 27 years. I've been vegetarian 26 years, vegan 1 year. So I decided, it was kind of time. I've been cooking for years and years, and people are always like, when are you going to make a cookbook? When are you going to make a cookbook? So I just decided this year to kind of go back to basics and kind of make some simple recipes of like when I first started out and things that were simple that I could share with people. They tasted good and it wouldn't be too difficult to do at home. And I also dedicated the book to my mom because that's how I learned to cook. When I was younger, my mom and my grandmother, my mom was vegetarian also. So I just decided, go ahead and write a book and dedicate it to her. And I really wanted to show people that um, being plant-based is not as bad as some people make it. Like, you can't tell on camera, but I'm kind of a fluffy vegan, so I'm not like super skinny. And a lot of people will say, oh, I see vegans on TV and they're like super small, so I don't fit their body types. I don't know if I can do this. And I said, look, I've been plant-based a lot of years. I'm not super skinny. I said, plant-based is not a body type or a mindset. It's what you decide to eat, and it's really a lifestyle, and you can do it at any age, any body type, any budget. So I kind of just wanted to get that out there to people because I don't fit the traditional like look of a vegan, but I wanted people to know you get started at whatever phase you are in life and whatever health status you're at too. I do recommend checking with your doctor first, but you don't have to look a certain way to be a vegan or plant based.
That is good to know. So I want to circle back to the title of the book. It's Soulful, right? And vegan. So I mean, when I hear that, I think of soul food. And
Mhm.
usually when I think of soul food, I do not think of healthy. They
Right.
like comfort food kind of stuff and whatnot, but it's not that. So tell me about that. So we got this whole mindset that is about food that everybody likes, but or at least a lot of people do, they like it, but it's really unhealthy. So this
Right.
so full sounds like you can still have some down home comforting kind of stuff, but making it more healthy and vegan. Am I on the right track there?
Exactly. And I'm Southern. I was raised in the South. Soul food is like traditionally Southern, and that's true. I grew up with that, even though I've been plant based half of my life, beginning of my life, and even through the rest of it. My family is not totally plant based, so you see the things that go into soul food, and sometimes it's high sodium. Sometimes there's a lot of meat, and meat has a lot of different things in it, and sometimes there's like a ton of sugar, and those things do taste good, but in moderation. So but a lot of times the soul food that we eat just has a large amount of things that aren't exactly the best for our health, even though they taste good. So we, like you said, when you think of soul food, you think of food that tastes good, but may not be like a recommended diet. So I still wanted to enjoy those foods, and I wanted people to think, okay, yeah, I can have soul food in a healthier way. And, it doesn't taste exactly like what you're used to, but it doesn't make it bad. And it may be something that, you come to like. you know, down the line and prefer it over that, or kind of incorporate certain spices to kind of make it how you want. So I wanted people to start thinking, okay, I can still have soul food, but just with a twist. And it can be done a little healthier than maybe than I'm used to or what I grew up with.
Right. Love that. So when I'm thinking about, like, we're doing this on the coaching channel, so it's like, well, what does this have to do with coaching? Well, I think everything, because if you don't have a healthy person in front of you, what's the first thing you're going to coach on? How to get more healthy, and then
Right.
how to stay healthy. So just from a health benefit, not, I mean, I know there's moral benefit or moral perspective, spiritual perspective, all those things, but just from a health benefit, from a physical health benefit, can you kind of go through what some of the benefits are from adopting this way of eating and this kind of mindset towards your diet?
Yes, well, there is a theory that gut health is like the basis of everything. They say we actually have two brains, the brains in our head and then the one in our gut. And the one in our gut kind of runs our whole body also. So it's very important what you put into your gut because it determines the way your body develops, how you think, how you function, your mood. So it's very important to try to put the cleanest things possible and the least amount of processed food into your system because that's going to affect your overall health. We become what we eat. So we want to eat good things so we can be good for ourselves. So with the plant-based diet, it is less of the sodium, less cholesterol. Now, there are processed plant-based foods. So, because people will always say, well, what about the big brands, the big box brands that kind of imitate chicken or imitate beef? Um, and some of those can be heavily processed. I don't recommend using those as my main diet. You can use that to maybe supplement something. But when you want to get down to improving your health and your body along with your mind, the less processed, I think, the better. So the more natural or the closest you can get to it will make you feel better overall. Like I sleep better, my skin has been better. Um, I'm not as exposed to as many hormones. So like when I go to the doctor, like my lab work has been great for years. Now I do have like hypertension because I do paddle on the salt sometimes. I'm bad about it. I'm human. I try to control that. But my doctor is like, your labs are great. She's like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So I do feel like this lifestyle has been very beneficial. And just like I know we were talking about more of the coaching aspect, but even the environmental impact. Like if I needed to, I could grow whatever I eat. Like I don't have to depend on a grocery store. I don't have to depend on a supply chain of a certain animal. Like it's really self-sustaining when you really break it down. If you really go totally, truly plant-based. So the impact on the environment is less, which makes me feel better overall. Like I'm really contributing to like the future generations because I'm having less of a carbon footprint on the world, which makes me feel better. So I think that leads to kind of mental health too, because it's environmentally conscious what I'm doing for a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's just all positives there. So let me dig into it a little bit with you. So I'm thinking about oils as we talk. You mentioned a number of things, but oils I think are one. When I think about like soul food or typical Southern cooking and whatnot, I think about a lot of fried food. I know when I bought the house that I live in, the woman who raised 10 kids in it before me, the cabinets and whatnot were coated with grease. It's like she cooked fried chicken 24/7 or something. I don't want that stuff in me, because
Right.
I have to scrub over the cabinets, not alone to scrub out of my my body from the inside out. But it's like, I know that so many of the oils, the cheap oils, the vegetable oils, the canola oil, sunflower oil, I mean, stuff like that. A lot of those are very, very high in omega 6s and can
Mm-hmm.
contribute to a lot of inflammation, which is just a culprit in so many disease functions. Whereas omega 3s, like avocado oil and olive oil and those kinds of things, those are really good for us. They're great for our brain. They're great for brain health. They're great to lower inflammation all throughout the body. Can you talk just a minute or two about what we cook with? Because I think a lot of people just don't realize that. Like I used to just go buy vegetable oil at the store all the time before I knew it was like killing myself. But with it, but
Right, right.
yeah, what do you think
And
about
that
cook with?
yeah, and it does make a difference what you cook with or what you cook in, because like say if you go get a whole bunch of like spinach and mushrooms, but then you come home and you throw all that into canola oil, like you just killed everything. So
Right.
it does make a difference. Now, I do use a little bit of vegetable oil sometimes and things, but my main oil is extra virgin olive oil, specifically cold pressed. And I even recommend people buy, if you can get it in a glass bottle, it's even better than in the plastic bottles, because sometimes the plastic bottles will throw off chemicals that the oil will absorb. So if you can get extra virgin olive oil cold pressed in a glass bottle, I believe is one of the best oils for you. Um, and it's one of the best ways to cook. The burn point on it is high enough where you can cook, the things you need to. Because people say, oh, the burn point doesn't get high enough. But if you're really trying to control your diet, you shouldn't be trying to fry stuff at a unusually high temperature anyway. That kind of defeats their purpose. So the oils do make a difference. And like you touched on with the omega 3s, like for me, I have a severe tree nut allergy, so I can't even do avocados because of the seed in the middle. So for my omega 3s, and a lot of people don't know this, but flaxseed oil has a lot of omega 3s in it. A lot of people don't eat flaxseed as an oil, they'll do the regular flaxseed, but flaxseed oil is actually great to cook in. It's clean, it's healthy, and you get your omega 3s. So what you're cooking in is just important as what you're cooking. And now, even with the air fryers, you don't even have to have oil sometimes now. I'm starting to get into the air fryer because I'm really impressed with how you don't need so much oil and how cleaner that is cooking. So you really don't need like the lard and the Crisco and the hydrogenated butter that we grew up with. I think a lot of people feel comfortable using that is because we did grow up with. That's what we're used to. That's what we're used to tasting. It's pushed in commercials, so it's like the standard of what you cook when you go to restaurants. A lot of that stuff is still cooked in that. It's cheaper in bulk for companies, but just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's better. And I think if society kind of sets the standard of, we really want cleaner oils or cleaner things, then corporations and companies and restaurants, they'll gradually change over the same way like with when I became plant-based 20 something years ago. In the grocery store, you had cardboard and you had flavored cardboard. Those are my choices. And it was rough, but over the years, companies saw that people were demanding more products, better products. They were paying for this, so they gradually changed. So I think as far as what we're cooking things in, if people start demanding cleaner things for their food to be cooked in, the industry will eventually start changing over, especially if they start losing dollars. So it's very important to consider what you're cooking in.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, it's so important because I know somebody said you want to spend your retirement on a cruise ship or in a nursing home. So
Right.
you're going to one way or the other. So you put some more into your food choices and what you're putting in your body. It's going to determine the health of your body, which is going to determine your outcome. It's like
Yeah.
I think it was Robert Louis Stevenson that said, sooner or later, every person sets down to a banquet of consequences. And that's certainly true with what we put in our body too.
That is
Uh,
true. And then we're a product of our system. So if we develop better systems of cleaner eating, then we are a better product overall.
Absolutely. And you mentioned air fryer too. So I just have to put in a plug for air fryers too, because my wife and I just got one, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago or so. But we love that thing. Boy, sweet potato fries and potatoes and onions and sprouts and broccoli. And I even did sweet dumpling squash last week, little strips, and they're delicious. And I just toss them in some olive oil. Now I'll be honest with you. I get the cheaper extra virgin olive oil in the big bottle like Kirkland. Now, even they've started getting some more specific locations and stuff, and doing some more smaller bottles and precise bottles. I just get the big one because I use it so much. But I just toss them up in there with some seasonings and just put them in the air fryer, and they come out just crispy on the outside and moist on the inside, and I mean, just so delicious. It's like it's kind of like my new addiction.
Yeah, and it's healthier. Like there's no chemicals in that. There's no preservatives. It's like fresh, almost like what people would say for animals, like from farm to table, but with the vegetables, almost from farm to table. There's not a lot of processed stuff going into that. And the way you're cooking it in the air fryer is clean. So
Yeah, exactly. So hey, I'm curious. Do you happen to have a copy of your book with you?
I don't. I thought about bringing that on, and I just forgot. It's like it's in the other in the other room.
Okay, that's
So
okay. Tell you what, if you send me a picture with you holding the book, then I'll put that on the cover photo, and then everybody can see the book too.
yeah, I can definitely do that.
Okay. And any links or whatever you want to, because I just see this, I see the food thing. I mean, there's a lot of epidemics in the world today, a lot of bad stuff, but one of them that we can easily or relatively easily remedy. There's a lot that I can't do anything about that I would like to, but one that I can do something about is what I choose to eat.
Yeah.
I can say no to something that I know is bad and say yes to something that's good, or spend a little bit more time and effort getting something that's going to be good for me. I know with my wife's gluten intolerance, I do a lot of reading labels and shopping around the stores, but now with a little bit of effort, I found out what works. And so now
Right.
I know the things that are safe. And the same thing with I cutting out sugar. I mean, sugar is a bad one. It reminds me of Men in Black 2, where they asked Will Smith, it's like, what's the most dangerous thing on the planet? And he said, sugar.
Yeah.
But it's like the things that we're putting in are creating the problems that we're trying to avoid. So we're kind of like fighting the fire while we're feeding the flame.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's true. And they actually said that sugar is the most addictive substance on the planet. And when you have people that like try to like wean off of it or detox, they say it's similar to like cutting out caffeine. Like you get the jitters. Like it's a chemical process that actually happens in your body when you try to wean off of sugar. And I know for me, like for years, that was one of my weaknesses. I love like desserts. I put extra sugar in stuff before I even tasted it. And like I said, I'm Southern. I like sweet tea. What do we do with sweet tea? Like we dump like a cup of sugar in it because if it's not extra sweet, it's not right. But there's other things you could do. So I've started using like a lot of the like a light agave nectar, and I use like apple honey. I don't use the real honey, but like apple honey. So I try to find substitutes or even like things like that. And I've been a big carboholic all my life. I love the breads, the pastas, and all that. So I try to find healthier substitutes for that because you can get, even though the pasta and the breads are not meat, it's still thing is bad. So if you can eat that in moderation, great. But I love those things. So now I'm just like, okay, I can cut them down, but what's an even healthier version of a grain or something that I can incorporate in, since I'm obviously going to eat this the rest of my life. So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that, because like what a lot of people don't know, but Dr. Amen pointed this out. I learned it from him, is that a bowl of mashed potatoes has the same glycemic impact as a bowl of ice cream.
yeah,
Just doesn't seem like that would be the
the
case, but
start.
sugars are addictive. I mean, we're getting dopamine hits from those. We're feeling good. We're engaging a lot of mental processes there and creating addictions for ourselves. But the wonderful thing is, though, in a few days, I found I can pretty much break the sugar addiction, and then things that have much sugar taste so sweet. They're just like unappealing.
Yes.
So I just want to give people some hope that addiction can be broken. That's not something you have to live with for the rest of your life. And
Your
what I
taste
do,
buds actually change.
oh, absolutely. And then you get something that's really sweet, and you're like, look, that's so sweet. It's like, did they change the recipe since I used to eat that? But it's like, no, I've just changed. I've changed.
Yeah.
Not that they've changed, but like when I go to a restaurant, and a lot of times I don't go out that much because everything's outrageous these days. But I'll go and get an unsweet tea and tell them, say, listen, give me an unsweet tea and put just a teeny little bit of sweet tea in the top, just to give that
Right.
little sweetness to the thing. It's like, I don't need a glass of sweet tea. That's like really bad for me. But I'll get them to do that, and that usually comes out. It's got just enough sweetness to take the bitterness out, and it's still predominantly healthy. It's so much less of a glycemic impact.
Yeah, and then you get to actually like notice like the flavor. Like when I started cutting out like real sugar or cane sugar from tea, I actually like started to really taste what the tea itself tastes like, instead of what the sweetener that I'm used to tasting like. And even with desserts, when I've substituted stuff for real sugar, it's like, okay, now I'm really seeing what this actually tastes like and not the sweetener tastes like.
That's a great point because I think so often all we're doing is just eating whatever we eat just because of the impact of the sweetener rather than what the thing actually is. So
Hmm.
yeah, and healthier. So let me ask you this: out of the whole cookbook, do you have a favorite recipe?
Yeah, I do. I like the gumbo one because it was similar to something my mom used to make. So I love the gumbo in there. And of course, I love sweet potato pie, especially this time of the year. And mine is dairy free, which is nice. You can use coconut milk. So those are my two favorite out of the book. I love everything, but I'm kind of biased. But those are my two favorites. And they're easy to make. And they just fill you up because like I said, a lot of times people be like, I don't want to eat salad. I'm not gonna get full off of salad. It's like, well, then don't eat salad. Make something else plant-based, supplement it with salad or eat the salad later. So you want to feel full like you actually ate, because if not, you'll go back and you'll graze all day, and that kind of defeats the purpose too. And I just feel like plant-based is not difficult if you plan it out. I mean, we plan everything else out, what we're going to wear, where we're going to go. So this is just one extra step. And if it improves your life or lengthens your life, isn't that a step you'd want to take anyway?
Right, so many benefits, so many benefits. Well, I'm glad that that you said that about the gumbo because when I think of gumbo, I'm thinking about sausage and shrimp and all this other stuff. So you got a vegan gumbo.
A vegan gumbo.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Katrina, this is exciting. I mean, just because I think the diet is, and it's fun to cook stuff that you know is good for you, rather than just eating easy stuff that you don't feel that you can't really feel good about if you actually stop and think about it, which I know most people don't. But if you do stop and think about it, it's like, no, I don't want to put toxins in my body. It's
Yeah.
like I've just become part of this like a sober group that I didn't even know there was such a thing, and there's sober bars, which I didn't know there was that such a thing either.
Yeah.
It's like, and I found out, I was listening to Dr. Huberman the other day out of Stanford, and he was saying that alcohol is toxic to our body. That's why our liver has to go through a couple of different conversions just to try to process it. And that's why we feel so bad the next day, with the
Yeah.
hangover. It's like the same thing with food. It's like I don't want to be putting toxic substances into my body that my body has to work so hard to get rid of, and then they can have a negative effect over time. So I think this is just a brilliant thing. And like back to the coaching thing, it's like, anywhere we start, we've got to start with being healthy and able. Because if we're not that, that's the only thing that matters. But once we are that, then there's lots of opportunities for other things, to take on and to do with our life. But we gotta have a life, right? Before we can do anything.
Yeah.
So I
And I
think
look at it like a car. Like you can have a beautiful looking car on the inside, but if your engine is shot, you're not gonna go far if at all, and the outside can look great, you can pile this stuff on there, you can decorate it, but what makes it run is not right. And so you fix the inside, it fixes the outside overall.
absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So well, let's do this. So just shoot me your links, shoot me the link to your book where people can get the book. And
Okay.
yeah, send me the shot and I'll put all of that in the description and we'll get this up on YouTube and push it out on social media and we can just share it around and hopefully people will find some new healthy ways to eat and live, some enjoyable ways to eat that are also healthy. You don't have to be hurting yourself to have a good time with what you eat, right?
Exactly. And the kids will like this too, because like I was saying earlier today at another function, if you're a family and you're buying groceries and your kids won't eat it, then what's the purpose? Because then you have to buy double stuff. It's more expensive. So these are even dishes like your kids will like, so you can enjoy this as a family.
Well, that's good to know too, because I remember when I was a kid for a long time, I would only eat fish sticks and French fries. So every night, my mom, and she shouldn't have done it, but she did. She fixed me fish sticks and French fries, and the
I
only
think we
reason
all I did that too.
Yeah, the only reason I would eat those is because my grandpa told me they were cookie sticks. So that's why I started eating those. But I mean, what a bad way to start things off, with this fried processed food and French fries that are cooked in who knows what, and it's not good for you. But thankfully, I've come around since then. But I think most of us are that way. So even the kids can learn to eat healthy. You can start them on the right track. You can make this a
Yeah.
family. You could even include the kids with preparing things and buying stuff so they could get excited about it too, I think, right?
Yeah, and that way you shape their taste buds. Like our taste buds were shaped when we were younger. We like certain foods we grew up with. If you shape them while they're younger to like plant-based, they'll grow up wanting that. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for what you're doing and for writing the book. And do you have anything else coming up along those lines?
I'm working on another book now, so hopefully by the end of the year, it's still plant-based. Hopefully that'll be out too.
Okay, excellent. That's what I started to say, but then I was like, did I hear that right or not? So
Yeah,
maybe
you did.
okay, so I heard that right. Okay, so we're on the same page. Good. Well, hey, we'll be looking forward to that one too. And then let's do this again after the second one comes out.
Yes, most definitely. And thank you so much. As always, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. Same here, Katrina. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you're doing to help people be healthier. And
Thank
that,
you.
yeah, that's just the starting point for so many other things in life, but that is the foundation. You gotta have some health first. So thank you for speaking into that and putting some good recipes together that people can enjoy while they're getting healthy.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. Thanks so much. Thank you
Thank
everybody for
you.
tuning in. Like I said, the links will be in the description. Thanks everybody.